The screen is dark when I start recording this. I want you to understand that before anything else, I'm not sitting in front of a ring light. I'm not doing this for content. I'm doing this because I have 31 screenshots on my phone and I don't know what else to do with them. My wife died 11 weeks ago, pancreatic cancer, diagnosed in March, gone by July. We had about 4 months where we knew, which sounds like a long time until it isn't. In the last 2 weeks, she asked me to bury her phone with her. She said, and I'm not exaggerating this, she actually said this, she said she'd need GPS in the afterlife because she had no sense of direction. That was her. That was who she was. I said fine. I put a charger in the casket. The phone was at about 60%. 8 weeks pass. I'm not doing great. I'm doing the minimum. Wake up, coffee, try to work, fail, sleep, repeat. And then 11 weeks after we buried her, my phone makes a sound I haven't heard in months. It's a Find My notification. I open it. I don't know why. Reflex maybe. Grief does something to your judgment. The map loads, satellite view. I recognize the terrain immediately, that specific grid of trees, that parking lot curve. It's the cemetery. I zoom in. The pin is on her plot. And underneath her name in small gray text, it says, "Last seen 4 minutes ago." I sat there for a long time, just sat there, the phone in my hand, that small green dot pulsing. I told myself GPS drift. That was my first explanation and I held on to it for about 3 days. Location data isn't perfect. Cell towers triangulate. Sometimes a device caches a last known location and displays it as current. I know this, I work in software, I actually know how this works. So I dismissed it. And then the next morning I woke up and there was a new timestamp. Not the same one, a new one, fresh from sometime overnight. I dismissed that too. I told myself the app was cycling through cached data and generating display timestamps. That's not actually how Find My works, but I didn't let myself look that up yet. I wasn't ready to look that up yet. By day 4, I started screenshotting. I don't know why I started. Maybe some part of me already knew I'd need the record. I'd wake up, open Find My before I even got out of bed, screenshot the timestamp, set the phone face down, and try to start my day. I did this every morning for 31 days. 31 consecutive screenshots. The pin never moves. The location is always the cemetery. The timestamp is always fresh, always between 2 and 6 a.m., never during daylight hours. I noticed that pattern around day 12. I didn't write it down because I didn't want it to be a pattern. On day 19, I called Apple support. I didn't know how to explain it. I said I had a device registered to a family member that was showing active location data and I wanted to understand what that meant technically. I didn't say she was dead. I don't know why. Maybe I thought they'd dismiss me faster. The rep and I recorded this call. I'll come back to that. The rep pulled up the device on their end. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "The device is actively transmitting. It is pinging the Find My network. This is not a cached or residual signal. For this to appear as a live location, the device must be powered on." I asked her to repeat that. She did. "The phone my wife is buried with is on. I haven't been sleeping right since I made that call." I called the cemetery the next morning. I spoke to the grounds manager. I told him I was a family member of someone recently interred and I wanted to confirm the plot had not been disturbed. He was kind about it. He said they do a weekly grounds check. He went and looked while I was on the phone. He came back and told me the plot was undisturbed, no subsidence, no signs of tampering. The marker was exactly where it should be. I thanked him. I didn't tell him why I was asking. I want to be clear about something. I was not trying to confirm something supernatural. I was trying to find the normal explanation. I was working through the list. Somebody moved the phone, no. The phone was somehow transmitting a false location, not according to Apple. The device was malfunctioning in a way that generated ghost pings possible, but the support rep said that wasn't consistent with what she saw on her end. I hired a private investigator. That sentence sounds dramatic. It wasn't dramatic. I found someone local who did missing persons work. I told him I needed eyes on a cemetery plot to confirm there was no activity. No disturbance, no visitors, nothing unusual. I gave him the plot location. He did 2 site visits, one during the day, one at night. He gave me a written report. Nothing to see. Quiet plot, quiet cemetery. No anomalies. So I went online. I posted in a tech forum, one of the bigger Apple-focused communities. I described the situation without identifying details. Just, deceased family member's device still appearing active in Find My. Apple confirms live transmission, no physical explanation found. Anyone seen something similar? Most responses were what you'd expect. Cached data, glitch, someone suggesting the grave had been robbed, which the investigator already ruled that out. But 2 people responded differently. One said their mother's iPad had continued appearing on their family's shared location plan for 6 weeks after her death. They'd assumed it was a display error until it updated to a location 50 miles from where she died, a city she'd never visited. The other response was shorter. It just said, "Did you check your messages? Because I got one." I remember reading that and feeling something go cold. I hadn't checked my messages, or rather I had, just not carefully. I went to my messages, I scrolled to her contact. There's a long thread there. The last messages from me were from the week she died. Mundane things, grocery lists, a photo of the dog. And then below all of that, separated by a gap, was one message marked unread. Sent at 3:14 a.m., 19 days ago. That would have been the night of day 12 in my screenshot log. The night I noticed the timestamps were clustering between 2 and 6 a.m. I read it. I'm not going to tell you what it said. I'm sorry, I've gone back and forth on this, I've thought about it a lot, but that message, I think that's just mine. Whatever it is, whatever it means, it's mine. What I will tell you is that my hand was shaking by the time I got to the end of it, and that it was very short, and that it sounded like her. I put the phone down and I didn't pick it up again for 2 days. I went to the cemetery. I don't know what I was expecting. I think I needed to stand there. I think some part of me believed that being physically present at the location would resolve something, that I'd arrive and the rational explanation would be waiting for me, sitting there like something I'd dropped. It was a Wednesday night, late. The gates were closed, but the cemetery isn't fenced on the south end. You can walk in. I've done it before. I went there a lot in the first few weeks, just to sit. It felt less wrong than sitting in the house. I stood at the plot for a while. I didn't say anything. I'm not sure what you're supposed to say. Then I opened Find My. The pin was there, right where it always is. Fresh timestamp. The app was showing the location updating in something close to real time. You can see the accuracy radius pulse when the signal refreshes. I watched it for maybe 2 minutes. And then the pin moved. Not a lot, maybe 10 meters. I almost missed it. I thought my hand had shifted, but the map hadn't moved, the pin had. It moved slowly, like something walking, and then it stopped. It stopped directly on me. I looked at the screen, the label, the little text tag that shows under the pin. It didn't say her name anymore. It said mine. I don't have a screenshot of that. I know how that sounds. I know. I had the phone in my hand. I was looking at the screen and I didn't think to screenshot it. I just stared. And then I closed the app. I walked back to my car. I sat in the parking lot for a long time. The cemetery was quiet. The sky was doing whatever the sky does. Clouds moving, normal things. I drove home. I haven't opened Find My since. It's been, I'd have to count the days, a few weeks maybe. The app is still on my phone. I can see the notification badge on it sometimes. I don't open it. I don't know if closing it was the right call. I keep going back to that. Maybe there was more. Maybe if I'd stayed another few minutes, something would have resolved. Maybe the pin would have moved back. Maybe the label would have corrected to her name and I'd have a rational explanation by now. Or maybe it would have moved again. I think about that a lot, which thing I'm more afraid of. I still have the screenshots. All 31 of them. I have the Apple support recording the rep confirming the device is live. I have the investigator's report. I have the message. I have all of it organized in a folder on my desktop. I labeled it with her name and the date she died. I don't open the folder much, but I know it's there. People ask me what I think it is. I don't have an answer. I've thought about every technical explanation I can construct, and all of them break somewhere. The phone shouldn't have enough charge. The signal shouldn't penetrate the depth. The GPS accuracy shouldn't hold that precisely at that range. I know enough about how this technology works to know it shouldn't be doing what it's doing. I've thought about the message. I've thought about it more than I've thought about anything in months. It was 11 words. I've counted. 11 words sent at 3:14 a.m. from a phone in a sealed casket 3 feet underground. I don't know if she sent it. I don't know what it would mean if she did. I know what the words were. I know what they sounded like. I know that whoever or whatever composed those 11 words knew something about me that I had not told anyone since she died. The notification badge on Find My is still there. I've counted it 3 times today. I don't know what's behind it. I've decided that's okay. I've decided I can hold something I don't understand without needing to open it. Maybe. Some nights I pick up the phone, I go to the home screen, I look at the app. The little badge just sits there, a number I won't look at. She always said I was bad at letting things go. I think she was right. I don't know what's in that app, and I think about that more than I probably should.